Hey guys, how's it going? It's the animeoveranalyst here, and today's a little bit of a different video. I've been getting a lot of your comments from my Elrena and Lauriam video, and I decided to maybe make a video that's completely separate from almost all of my other theory videos and go through the comments and maybe give my own thoughts. I kind of created the theory video to make it more of a discussion. So, I thought this would be pretty cool. So, our first comment on the top here is by Umario 251, and he says, "I love this theory and it makes a lot of sense, and even the reasoning for Larxene using lightning magic as her main type since she can control ice too." I think he meant to say, does why does she control ice in this? And honestly, I really don't know. That power just kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest, because she's always been kind of a lightning based. In fact, all of her data battles have been lightning based. And so for her to wield ice powers all of a sudden was really weird. And so I don't really know the answer to that, except for maybe it's possible that she inherited a willful darkness, and the willful darkness gives her the power to control ice. That's my guess, but it's not a really good guess. But Marluxia as Lauriam still had his flower theme in Union Cross, his keyblade, his sister's name, and they were conversed on the flower bed too. So maybe that influenced where he awoke. Okay, so from that sentence, if I'm trying to get what he's saying there, basically he's like, Lauriam's theme was very flower heavy in Union Cross, which it is. His keyblade is the Divine Rose. And so the thought is, hey, he is closely associated to flowers, to roses. So perhaps that association allowed him to wake up in the bed of roses, because he's very connected to the plant. And so I thought that was maybe a possibility, and that might be why he actually woke up in the Dwarven Woodlands, in that kind of glade area. So I think that's cool. I don't know. What do you guys think? It is very odd that his whole theme has been pretty much roses, but like I said, I think it was something that he started off with, and he's been so attached to the rose as just kind of like a symbol for him that it literally transcended time to the point where the rose was his median. In fact, that's kind of what I think happened. You know how everybody kind of needs a median in order to get from point A to point B when it came to time travel. And I think that the median was supposed to be the Master of Masters Keyblade No Name. And what really ended up with, for like people like Maleficent, for example, that her median was the cloak. And for a while, a theory was going around that Zigbar was carrying around that red scarf that could have been Ephemera's scarf, and he was just carrying around the median. It's all a possibility. And then we have, in this case, Laurian's medium is a flower, is the rose, and so that's why he woke up in a bed of roses. Now, this whole median theory kind of goes into whack, though, when you think about Elrena, because Elrena just kind of woke up in the middle of a lightning storm, and it was was it in Enchanted Dominion or Dwarven Woodlands? You'll see in like this comment by Miguel that he said that she woke up in the Enchanted Dominion. He says that the scene she lands on looks like the cliff you fought, which is what I actually thought it was. I thought it was the cliff that you fight the wretched witch. But he says it's actually Maleficent's Forbidden Mountain during a thunderstorm. I'm going to have to look further into that, but it looked very much like Dwarven Woodlands to me. Like I said, I might have to just look more into that. I don't know. So that's, let's see now, what else does Umario say? And his other theme, besides being Rose theme, is being a Reaper with the scythe in Countdown. That's true. That's mainly instituted in the final mix, Kingdom Hearts 2 final mix. And so that was like a really cool thing. And I think it may have even carried over to Kingdom Hearts 3. But he always had the scythe, so he always had that Reaper symbolism. And it's real interesting because in Chain of Memories, he also has that white figure in that final boss fight, where that figure might or might not have been Strelitzia. I do not know. And so he says, so maybe his sister's death had that impact on him, since that was what made... He says that's what made me vulnerable to the darkness. I'm going to say that's what made him vulnerable to the darkness, as we saw in Union Cross. Explains why his final form has the imagery of a female who could be based on Strelitzia too. So yeah, basically that whole idea of that figure being Strelitzia. So my thought is that figurine is part of Strelitzia's heart. And I talked about this in my Strelitzia video a little bit. But basically what I stated in that video was that Strelitzia, when she died, or before she died, a piece of her heart went into Lauriam. Now that's not confirmed, I'm just theorizing. So, when Lauriam, with a piece of Strelitzia's heart, became a nobody, that piece became that Reaper figure. And the reason why I say that is because that's what happened to Roxas. Basically, when Ven was a part of Sora's heart, when Sora stabbed himself with the Keyblade, Roxas was made kind of out of the spitting image of Ven. So it's possible that it's literally the exact same thing going on. We have like Strelitzia version 2, basically. And I'm saying that Reaper figure is not Strelitzia's data version that we see at the end of Union Cross, and it's not Strelitzia, period. It's just like maybe a piece of her heart. That's kind of my thinking. But maybe I'm wrong. What do you guys think? So that's it for that comment. So thank you Mario251 for posting a comment. Now earlier today, Miguel Alverez posted this comment. I already referred to it earlier, but I figured I'll read through it because he says quite a lot, and so I kind of want to break things down a little bit because what he says here is actually pretty good, pretty well thought out. So he says, I have no idea why you're accentuating for certain names. Or why you're using accentuation for certain names. I think that's just how I talk, honestly. I was basically just trying to say the names in a way, and it just sounded like I was using accentuation. That's just how it happens. Something that I'm working on when I record scripts. I don't know why you said Anastasia instead of Snow White. That's true. For some reason, I don't know what happened, but I was thinking Anastasia all the way. And it didn't click into me until I literally read this comment that it was Snow White in Dwarven Woodlands. And I'm like, duh. That's like the dumbest thing. Why didn't I think about that? Because throughout the entire time I was sitting there and I was like, Anastasia. I don't know why. Because really, it was Snow White. And this basically, what he says here pretty much breaks down this whole entire theory because I was thinking Anastasia instead of Snow White. So, he says, Elrena landed in Enchanted Dominion, not in the Dwarven Woodlands. The scene she lands on does look like the cliff you fought the wretched witch at, but it's actually Maleficent's Forbidden Mountain during a thunderstorm. And so, like I said, I don't know. To me, personally, it looked very much like that cliffside. However, he could be right. I'm going to need to double check that. It says, while your theory sounds good, I'm not exactly convinced. That's cool. That's perfectly cool. I didn't expect anybody to be completely convinced. Honestly, sometimes I'm not completely convinced with my own theories. I'm not really that attached to my theories. I just come up with a cool idea and I want to talk about it. That's why I make these videos. And then he says, Xigbar mentions that he found Marluxia, even though he didn't pronounce his name correctly, recently to an adult Zexian. That might have been during Dream Drop Distance. I don't remember this scene at all, to be honest. Snow White is shown to have been captured sometime after the start of Kingdom Hearts 1, and she can be seen if you don't finish Wonderland before finishing Deep Jungle, being brought in by the Disney villains. That is true. That is actually very true. It's a cool little detail in Kingdom Hearts 1. Basically, if you beat Deep Jungle before you beat Wonderland, like he says, the scene when you have, like, the Council of Villains, which is, like, Ursula, Captain Hook, Maleficent, Jafar, yada, yada, yada. You see, or what I should say is that the camera pans away, and it shows Snow White struggling. Now, if you beat Wonderland first, you'll see Alice struggling. So that's a cool little detail, and it kind of shows that Snow White's world is pretty much being lost in Kingdom Hearts 1, or like during Kingdom Hearts 1. And this is actually another theory video that I'm wanting to make at some point. And I'm actually going to make a title here in my Google Docs, because I might actually start working on this today. And it's something that's been on my mind, was it Maleficent or young Xehanort that destroyed Radiant Garden? So, yeah, that's actually a question that I want to do. And so, if you're curious on this type of video, just stay pwned. Not stay postponed. Just, keep an eye on the channel. I'll probably post it next week or the week after. I don't know. It takes me a long time to edit these videos. It really does. So, maybe if this video gets, say, 20 likes, I'll make sure to get it out by next Thursday. So, back to Miguel Alverez's comment. So, So, after we see Snow White being captured, he says, so that falls in line with Marluxia and Xigbar, I believe, joining, as we can assume this takes place during Kingdom Hearts 1, before Roxas joins Xemnas. And Xemnas challenges Sora to a battle in the chapel we fought Dragon Maleficent in. Okay, so we know that Roxas joins Organization 13. He's the last one to join, if you don't count Xion. We know that Marluxia is number 11 and Larxine's number 12. And he talks about this later on. So they're the last two to join before this. However, I think the timeline-wise, at least when it comes to my theory video, it still fits with my theory video, at least timeline-wise. Like, they still could be number 12 and number 11, because who knows exactly when they arrived at Enchanted or sorry, at Dwarven Woodlands and maybe Enchanted Dominion. I don't know. But he says that it happens during Kingdom Hearts 1 because we see that world fall to darkness. So let's actually go with that. Let's just say that that's when they arrived in their respective worlds. And my personal headcanon, and I think what I mentioned in the video, is that they're the reasons these worlds fell to darkness. At least that was my original thought. However, in Kingdom Hearts 1, we also know that Maleficent's the reason that these worlds fall into darkness because she wanted the Disney princesses. But then again, she had no stake in taking over Destiny Islands. But she still ended up, she still kind of ended up with Kairi. So, granted, I think they had to search for Kairi. But all because a world falls to darkness doesn't mean that Maleficent had a hand in it. She did end up with the princesses in the end. And that could have just been because Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, gave them to her, literally. Like, that, he could have literally just been like, wrapped in a nice bow, here you go, Maleficent. Here's a princess. That's a possibility too, I think. So, I'm just gonna keep that in mind. It's possible that that whole willful darkness there being the reason those worlds fell could be just completely wrong. And it's really hard to tell timeline-wise, at least when it comes to like 0.2 Birth by Sleep, because like you see those worlds already fall into darkness in that game, but we don't know what the timeline is in that game. It just kind of takes place in between Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep and at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2. So they fell sometime. Alright, let's see now. The only wrench is Larxene, like I said earlier, as she joined after Marluxia as number 12, and Maleficent had already conquered Enchanted Dominion with darkness, and we assume had already made contact with all the villains. Like I said before, all because Maleficent ended up with Anastasia from Enchanted Dominion doesn't mean she was the direct cause of that world's downfall. Now, if we're going by just Kingdom Hearts 1 logic, then yeah, she is totally the reason. However, I think Kingdom Hearts is kind of like one of those games where until you actually see it for yourself, hearsay is just hearsay. You don't really know what exactly happens. And so that's probably what I'm going to talk about in that theory video about who really took out, Radiant Garden. And I won't say take out, because that world, did it completely fall to darkness? I think so. Anyways, she had been recruited either immediately after Marluxia, which is my guess, or there's some sort of time dilation between worlds. Possible. That's possible, but I'm thinking more along the lines of they were... Yeah, I'm still thinking along the lines that they were the reasons for those worlds to fall. What explained why Aurora... Oh, is it Aurora, not Anastasia? It might be Aurora. My bad. I don't... we're gonna find out, actually. Aurora... Sleeping Beauty. Okay, so it is Aurora. Why do I keep thinking it's Anastasia? Okay. But yeah, he's right, it is Aurora. Um. So yeah, we explained why Aurora is still young after we meet her in Birth by Sleep, and she looks the same age in Kingdom Hearts 1, even though that takes place 10 years apart. That's actually a good point. That is a very good point, because she doesn't age throughout the entire time, and the question is, why? And so it could just be weird timeline shenanigans. It could also be that that might have been like the first world to fall, and I keep saying that Aurora was lost her heart. She fell asleep like Ventus. Ventus did not age once the entire time that he was asleep in Land of Departure. So my guess is that's the same thing that happened with Aurora. I like that idea, actually. Yeah, I like that idea. So it could just be that Enchanted Dominion was like the first world to fall. Like, it fell immediately after Birth by Sleep. Which would make sense, because that is Maleficent's world. Right? Yes. Maleficent is Enchanted Dominion. And Wicked Witch is in Dwarven Woodlands. Yeah, that's right. All right. See now. So, would explain why Aurora is still young after birth and yada yada. Only other theory is she found a way to travel away from Enchanted Dominion, or maybe a Traverse Town situation since the world she was on disappeared and then got recruited. Oh, he's still talking about Elrena. That's also possible. Like, she ended up in Traverse Town and then got recruited in Traverse Town. I do not know. I honestly do not know. Also, doesn't explain how they became nobodies unless the worlds they were in got swallowed up by darkness, which is what I'm thinking, and they got turned into nobodies after producing Heartless. That is exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking that, yeah, they were part of that world, they got swallowed up, and then, boom, they became nobodies, and then Xigbar found them. That's my guess. It would explain why they lost their memories and original personalities. Yes, I agree with that. That's a good point. Roxas had no clue where he came from or any memories when he first shows up in the worlds, and his name was picked out for him. Yeah, that's true. However, theirs was not. So they had to at least have known Lauriam and Elrena or somebody else. Which Xigbar would know, because he's Lushu. So yes, Xigbar, I gotta find that scene, because now that's starting to make a whole lot more sense. If Xigbar was the one that gave them their names. That's making a lot of sense. Okay. The apprentices Lee and Isa retained their memories and personalities because they became nobodies from the experiments and making artificial Heartless. That's true. They were part of all of those fancy science experiments. Yeah. That was a really, really well thought out comment. Thank you so much, Miguel Alverez, because I learned a lot of stuff. You corrected me on a lot of stuff, which is good. I always like to be admitted when I'm wrong. And you also, made your own theories. I like that. I want to express other people's theories. That's actually kind of why I made that Vanitas video, was to kind of prop up other people's theories, because I think that's kind of cool. So, Great job. We already know Destin Glassner, so I'm not gonna do his. Corey Coleman. Well, those worlds fell to darkness because of Maleficent. She was going after the princesses of Heart, which means they ran into Maleficent or her hearts. We see in Kingdom Hearts 1 that the Disney villains lead the Heartless to the keyhole to destroy the world and feed it to Kingdom Hearts. We also know Maleficent is Ansem Seeker of Darkness and Xehanart's tool. So, yes, that kind of goes along with what I was stating earlier. Basically, Maleficent could have easily... What could have possibly happened is that she's kind of working for Ansem Seeker of Darkness / Xehanort, and she then manipulates like Larxene, Elrena and Lauriam. That's kind of what I'm also thinking, is that maybe she didn't have such a direct hand. Maybe she was trying to do like a Terra thing, where she was trying to control someone else. Because now that I think about it, Maleficent's kind of manipulative. She likes to use Pete, for example, even though Pete's a dumbass. Originally, she was trying to use Riku and pin Riku against Sora, and did it actually quite effectively. Until Riku finally got his ass kicked. And so, I actually think that my theory could still apply, and Maleficent could still be, the ones that had brought the downfall of those worlds. So, I think, and honestly, we both can be correct. I think there's a world where that's possible. So, thank you, Corey Colton. The Dragon AF1. All I want to know is why they don't have Keyblades. Good question. Why don't they have Keyblades? That's actually a really good question. Because, Larxene has the kunais, and Lauriam, or Marluxia, has the scythe. So, why do they have those weapons? And that is a very good question. Because I can't say it's the willful darkness that makes them forget, because who's a proven Vanitas. Vanitas is a great example. Vanitas can use a Keyblade. Granted, he doesn't use Ven's Keyblade, but he can still use a Keyblade. So, they should be able to use Keyblades. It doesn't make sense that they don't. And Ventus can use a Keyblade, even after losing Vanitas. So it's all weird. I honestly don't know, except for the fact that they weren't originally designed to have Keyblades. Because if you keep in mind, the original Kingdom Hearts 1 thought was that Keyblades were super rare. You were practically a chosen one if you ended up with the Keyblade. In fact, Sora wasn't even the chosen one, it was Riku. And Riku just decided to be a fuckboy and fall into darkness. And so, Sora was pretty much the delivery boy. He had to basically give Riku the Keyblade. So, very, very interesting that they don't have Keyblades. From 358 over 2 days, or 358 days over 2, getting a nobody with a Keyblade was mission number 1. Yeah, that's why they wanted Roxas. Nobodies can have Keyblades. Even individuals with darkness can have a Keyblade. Yeah. Even individuals with memory loss can summon Keyblades. Roxas, for example. Roxas, Xion, they both have Keyblades, although Xion's kind of a special case because she's a puppet made from Sora's memories. So what happened? Surely having a willful darkness doesn't prevent you from getting a Keyblade because Luxu and the others still have them. This is assuming that Luxu is also a vessel for the willful darkness, which everybody seems to be on board with, and I'm not completely convinced. to be honest. Maybe I'll make another video about that, because that's really weird, at least to me, that everybody seems to believe that he has a willful darkness, or he has a vessel. I'm on the side that he doesn't, personally. That's kind of where I take it. He fought one, and there's a couple reasons why he fought, honestly. One reason, he was already a vessel for a willful darkness, and so he can't have two, so he just decided to fight that one. Possible. My thinking is that was the willful darkness that he was supposed to inherit, and he said, fuck this shit, I'm taking him on. And we don't know the outcome of that battle. He might have ended up getting possessed. Or he might have actually was able to fend it off, and it got sent to the future to, inhibit Elrena and Lauriam. Like, this entire theory, my Elrena and Lauriam theory, hinges on the fact that Lauriam is not a vessel. It hinges on that fact. And so, I don't know. And I actually answered that. Is that all I could think of is that Nomura was not planning on them being more than simple villains. And so, that's kind of where I sit there. Because, the whole Keyblade question is just kind of out there. And the more you dig into Kingdom Hearts, the more you realize how not well written the games are. So yeah, thank you, Dragon AF1, Kendrick Krause, and I like the Hearthstone Thrall in PFP. So he says, I don't believe Lauriam and Elrena got possessed by darkness. I think one definitely resides within Lucio as per the Master's plan. You see, like I said, people seem to be leaning more towards Lucio having one, which I'm not denying. He could possibly have one. I'm just saying, I think he said, fuck that, and decided to go on. And then he says, and, I think he meant to say, oh, and one would be unknown as per the Master's plan. Yes, the one unknown. And so, he continues saying, I think maybe since Lucio had a darkness inside him, the unknown darkness did not possess Lucio for some reason. Maybe the darkness inside Lucio wouldn't allow... Okay, so this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. He's basically saying he already had a darkness in him, and then he fought that weird one at the end of Union Cross with the outcome being unknown. And he's like, okay, maybe you can't have two. The unknown darkness instead stayed within the Age of Fairy Tales, continuing on with the regular flow of time, waiting for a worthy candidate to inhibit. Who this candidate is, I believe it could be Xehanort. I like this theory. I actually like it a lot, because we see in Dark Road that the Queen of Hearts had a willful darkness with her. And then we see Lucio encountering that. And so I think it's very, very possible that the willful darkness went from the Queen of Hearts to Xehanort. I think that's a valid theory. His heart is very strong and easily susceptible due to his infatuation with darkness, yes. Defeating Xehanort at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 also destroyed this unknown darkness. This would also explain the Master's conversation with Xehanort during Remind DLC. The Master had finally found a worthy vessel for the final 13th darkness. I like this theory a lot. I like it a lot. I might even make a separate video about this. It's another one that I've been thinking about. Because it, like Mr. Sriracha Kanto says underneath, sounds legit. Like, his theory sounds very, very possible. So, I like that. I like that a lot. I always appreciate the sounds legit, great video comments. I really, really do. Okay. And then, the final one for this video. Xigbar Lucio admitted to finding and recruiting Marluxia. So, he also referred to this scene. I have no idea which scene this is, but I think it's in in Dream Drop Distance. I'm gonna have to look that up. perhaps he found Larxene as well. Maybe he has something to do with the shift in their shifted personalities. As far as their memories go, I'm not sure why they lost it, while Brain kept his when he woke up in Scala. Very good point. It's a very, very good point. And then I replied, yeah, that's why I'm thinking the Willful Darkness had something to do it. Something about them taking them and enhances their emotions, maybe. Enhances emotions lead to memory loss. I was kind of questioning things. I really don't know. ZombiFeline says, it was the medium, they didn't have mediums. Well, Brain did, so that's why he remembers. I don't know about that. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they didn't have actual mediums, now that I think about it. Like, that are connected to them personally. That's why I was a little confused with, like, the road symbology. Like, it's possible, but I don't know. Philly says, great point. That probably is why they... Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. It's possible. But here, my response was, I was thinking that the rose bed was Lauriam's medium, while maybe the lightning is Elrena's. Or was it the Master of Masters Keyblade? I'm not 100% sure what those mediums were, but you need a medium in order to arrive at a destination. It's mandatory. You need a medium. And so, the fact that they didn't have anything like article of clothing or something to directly tie them was what's kind of confusing. And Master of Masters, when he's talking with the Willful Darkness at the end of Union Cross, mentions Lushu and how he has his Keyblade, and how Lushu has the memories while the Keyblade is the medium. And so that's kind of what I was thinking. And maybe that was just for maybe to summon back the foretellers. I don't know. Master of Masters medium is no name. Lushu remembers him. Yeah. That I can totally get. I can totally get that. Except the Master of Masters is in Baron Rex. So, he's not even here. He's just completely gone. So, that is it for this video. And I'm only just going to do this one. I'll tackle my Strelitzia video, my Vanitas video in another video. Thank you all so much. I know this one was long, but I really wanted to talk about all this stuff and just kind of thank everyone who commented. So, that's going to be it for this video. I'm the Anime Overanalyst, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.